Greetings to everyone. It's 2019. It's Davos. I'm here in the Hub Culture studio, and I am here with Lea Tarnowski. Thanks very much for coming along.
Thank you so much for having me.
A repeat guest.
A repeat guest.
A repeat guest. So you are COO and co-founder of Averon.
That's right.
A digital identity. And I know that one of the things you do is there seem to be many circles of hell that one enters when one forgets one's password. You do something about that, right?
Yeah, so logins are broken and we fix that. Like all these reset loops from hell, we actually make it delightful. You never have to go through that again, and you're held more secure, which prior to this didn't used to be possible. You could make things more secure but make it more and more difficult to use, and we turn that on its head.
Tell me what the inspiration for it was. Was there a moment in your history when you thought, ugh, this is the problem I'm going to solve?
Well, actually, the founder of the company, Wendell Brown, he was sitting on a plane and trying to make a payment to a charity. And he was on his phone and he was just trying to make a payment. He was put through all these loops of, hell, as I refer to them as, and he couldn't make it. And then a few moments later, he picked up the very same device, his phone, to make a phone call, and it just works. And he's like, why is it on the same device? When I make a phone call, it just works and it knows who I am. Whether when I'm trying to do anything else on my phone, I have to do this. So that was kind of the inspiration moment. He decided to connect the two and make it as easy and as secure for everything as it is with your phone call.
So that's what you do with passwords. But of course, digital identity has a lot of other applications, including potentially protecting our democracy, which seems like a big leap when we talk about password protection to digital democracy. But there is a link, right?
There is a link, and it's all linked to a digital identity at its core. Whether it's proliferation of fake news, which is to a large extent driven by bots, or other attacks on our democracies, by knowing, who a source is, where it's coming from, and really making sure that only you are in charge of you, will make a big difference. And we think digital identity and trust is really at the core of everything.
I get really inspired here in Davos, and I always think, God, the world is actually a really great place. There's so much good stuff going on. Don't need to be negative. And then I get back to London, and I still have the same old flipping problems with my passwords, and there's still the concern about fake news. There's still a kind of lack of trust going on. So give me a kind of hopeful picture of where we might be. Like, what will my experience be on the internet in, say, 5 years' time, given what you are doing?
Absolutely, with pleasure. So think of it, as technology develops, it becomes more and more invisible and more seamless, and it just works. Think of, for example, DVDs or VHS tapes, right? You had to go and borrow and put it in, and then, TiVo came, and now, it's Netflix, and you can watch anything you want, anywhere, anytime. And it's just kind of, seamlessly it got integrated into your life. The same should be with your identity and authentication. It should just work. It should be so invisible that you don't even think about it. And analogy or story we like to think is like, if you ask a fish, how's the water? The fish goes, what water?
Right.
That's how it should work.
Okay, great. Now, I wouldn't normally ask a woman in technology personal questions because we should just be talking about the technology that you're involved in. But because we're friends, and I know, and I've known you since you've had big life changes, right? Got married, have an amazing baby, and you and Lucien are both running pretty fast-moving companies while managing life with a kid. In San Francisco, I know you've got a good support network, but tell me just a little bit about how you guys work on it together as a team, because it is kind of inspirational, and I have to admit sometimes I'm a little bit jealous when I see your Facebook post.
Yeah, Lucien is the one posting the most, but sure. No, but it is really interesting. We talk about it a lot. I generally think your co-founders, your team, and your partner, of course, need to be your best friends, your supporters, and your trusted network. And I'm really lucky in that regard. We are each other's best friends and biggest fans, and we see how differently people experience us kind of saying the same thing, and vice versa, our own experiences of when you go out in that. And just being aware of that and being able to call it out is already the first step towards it. Now, I think men and women, we are different, and we should embrace that difference. I was at a panel this morning, and somebody said, whenever a woman tries to be like a man, it's a waste of a woman.
Right.
And like Oscar Wilde, be yourself, everyone else is taken, and that's what we need to embrace. We need to embrace diversity of thought, diversity in general, and that makes us stronger. And I think that's what we need to bring. And I personally feel I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, whether it's brave women who paved the way ahead, or my grandmother and mother, and it's a responsibility to now lay my own brick and help create a better world as our daughter grows up.
All right, I love it. Well, Lea, thank you very much for stopping by.